Hello, Kinaway members. Thank you for joining us for yet another one of our webinars. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am coming to you from, and I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which each and every one of us are tuning in from, and pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Quickly, before we get the show on the road, I'd like to remind you all that we have informative webinars on various topics available to you all on our Facebook and YouTube channels. So please feel free to jump on those at any time and make yourself familiar with all of that content. Along with the webinars, Kinaway is still offering the usual forms of business support for our members, especially during lockdown. So if you feel the need for assistance or support of any kind, please feel free to get in contact with the team here at Kinaway. Also, just wanted to remind you guys that 1-800-KINAWAY is open and available for you. Confidential chats with Brendan Heed, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Lastly, feel free to share our posts and profiles online with your friends and family, as we are looking to grow our Kinaway community even more than we already have. So now that we have all of that out of the way, let's give a warm welcome to our guest today, James Brown, our economic broker. Woo!
Thanks for having me, Katani. I think I said this in the previous webinar, but you're much better at facilitating these webinars than what I was this time last year. So
Look,
great work.
I don't know if that's the case. I appreciate it. Thank you. But I think you definitely looked way more sharp than I do currently. Lockdown's been rough on all of us, everybody, especially this. So our webinar today is similar to the one that we did a couple months ago with Damien, and it's a get to know us kind of video. So we'll be going through James's story and how it led him to Kinaway, which I'm really excited to hear because I've heard only snippets and I haven't heard the full story. So I will be learning at the same time as all of you. James, you're a bit of a superstar. I'm excited to hear the full story. But we all have to begin somewhere, and I'm going to ask you, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Sure. So my family, I'm a proud Gamilaroi man. So I have family back out in Narrabri, Coolangatta. I was actually born in Sydney. And I lived there for about, I think it was 2 years before my sister, the old fella, and myself made the move up to Tweed Heads on Bundjalung country. And that's where I grew up. I think we moved to a couple of places up on the Tweed there. I think first suburb we moved to was Bilambil, it was, and then I think Terranora as well. And before we finally found our place in Kingscliff. That's where the old fella still lives at the moment, and that's where the majority of my immediate family is. So yeah, that's where I grew up. Beautiful part of the world. It's a place that I miss very dearly, and planning on getting back there in a couple of years' time. Fingers crossed.
Yes, that's so deadly. Is that in Victoria? I've never known where that is.
No.
Victoria?
So so Kingscliff is northern New South Wales. Pretty much on the border. The best way to describe it would be pretty much halfway in between Byron Bay and the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So
you know Nimbin? My grandparents.
Yes, I do know Nimbin. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. To Nimbin. It's actually a really beautiful place. Yeah. About hours inland, really scenic sort of drive, and there's heaps of small, beautiful little towns all along sort of the hinterland out the back of the Tweed. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, and a lot of interesting characters. I feel like people, when you say that name, it already has a bit of a funny context because
it does. Yeah, it has yes, it's associated with a certain sort of recreational activity. Yes.
Yeah. Kinaway community. You can Google that. We don't have to get into it. Awesome. So growing up there, where did you move or live anywhere else in between the time of you being there and Melbourne? And if so, whereabouts did you cruise to?
So I was lucky enough to spend the majority of my time in Kingscliff. And then, so, I mean, after that, I did move around a few times before finally ending up in Melbourne. If I remember correctly, I think at the age of 16 was the time that I left home. Uh, moved down to Canberra to the AIS, Australian Institute of Sport, to play soccer. So in a previous life, I tried playing soccer for a few years. I spent 2 years down at the AIS in Canberra. At the time, didn't really enjoy it, but looking back, loved it. I was really lucky to spend 2 years full time living on campus with 20 of my best mates. So had a really good time there. Just playing soccer. Yeah, playing soccer full time, which was really fun. From there, I moved back to the Gold Coast. So I moved back there for work for 3 years. From the Gold Coast, spent another 2 years in Newcastle.
Yeah, you moved around.
Yeah. So moved to Newcastle for a couple of years as well for my profession. Loved it in Newcastle. That's where I met my wonderful and beautiful partner. Whilst I was in Newcastle, you could almost say it was love at first sight on the dance floor. Or on the dance floor of a nightclub. That's a different story for a different day. But Newcastle was lovely. It was really similar sort of lifestyle to what I had up in Kingscliff, on the beaches, some good fishing as well. And by then I was old enough to attend the pubs as well. So they've got plenty of pubs around Newcastle as well, which has made things a bit easier. So from Newcastle, then finally made my way down to Melbourne. So spent 2 years here again, just for work. Loved it. From Melbourne, went overseas for a little bit. So moved over to Cape Town in South Africa. I didn't really know what to expect before I went there, but again, loved it. I had a really, really good time in Cape Town. Seeing all parts of South Africa is really, really interesting. Going over there. I had a 3-year sort of contract there for work, and I was getting a little bit getting on, while I was over there. Well, getting on in terms of my previous career, and just realised it's not what I wanted to do anymore. So probably lasted about six months, I think it was, before I came back to Australia and decided Melbourne was where I wanted to be, and it's where I am to this day.
Oh, wow. Dude, how you're super cultured. What's the word? Like well-traveled too. I'm interested, did you have a was it a really big culture shock going to South Africa?
Yeah, it was. I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. But it was a big culture shock. I think the biggest thing which was really apparent over there was, it became pretty evident that it's still coming out of the apartheid. You could see a lot of segregation still. The biggest sort of parallel I can draw here is, you kind of had a couple of hours out bush, and you can see like a lot of poverty and things like that, but over there, you just see the head 5 minutes out of the city, and there's people just living on the side of the road, living in shacks, living in sort of mud huts and things as well. So, I think that's what I found so striking for myself was, you didn't have to travel hours inland. You just had to travel, 5-10 minutes down the road out of the city, and the poverty and the struggle becomes quite apparent.
Yeah, because I've had a couple of people in my life that I've met from South Africa, and they've got a lot of really intense stories about what life is like there. So when I hear people going there, even to travel, it's always like, oh man, you must have done a lot of learning there, because it's we got a lot of things to be grateful for. In Australia, in regards to like even safety stuff, like just from what I've heard from friends and stuff. Did you ever have any crazy stories like happen to you that's just so out of left field? Anything crazy?
No. So I mean, obviously you hear the odd story, before you head over there. I think especially in Cape Town, because it is the richest city in Africa. It was pretty similar to, I compare it to sort of the Gold Coast in terms of the lifestyle, the climate, the sort of demographic that live there. I think you get a lot of the sort of wealthy Europeans that head down there to enjoy the weather, and to enjoy all that Cape Town has to offer.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, there was nothing that was too obvious that really stuck out. You know, we would travel sort of throughout South Africa, and we would have sort of police escorts. You know, we would be
Yeah.
pretty heavily guarded as well when we sort of you know, stayed in certain areas. And
Mm.
yeah, but there was nothing that really stood out for me that was too distinct. So I think I was fortunate enough to be in a nicer part of Cape Town, which was
Mm.
good. But I also did want to, you know, experience the real Africa. You know, I really wanted to get out there and, you know, see other countries in Africa, then
Yeah.
also, you know, see and experience the culture as well
Mm.
over there. So I do remember I did see a zebra once, which sort of blew my mind in the
Yeah.
wild. Yeah,
That's a milestone in itself. No, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
As I mean, people might have the same sort of thing with Australia. You know, like they go to, you know, the nice parts and the bits that are kind of built for tourism. You know, but then
Mm,
and I had a similar experience in America because my family and I went all through. Pretty much landed in Hawaii and then like cruised across America to get to
mm,
Kentucky. But,
mm,
like, it's always you wanna see the reality of where it is that you're visiting or staying in. So, I
mm.
can understand that. But, yeah, what a whole from my obviously, you would know better than me, but, like, it just seems like a full-on other world with the way, the people or the mob there, what their experience is. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that
yeah,
learn more about.
absolutely. Yeah, it is. You know, it is very different, but I also see a lot of similarities here as well. You know,
Mm,
in terms of some struggles that, you know, the black population might face. You know, it's limited here as well. So there were a lot of differences, but also, you know, there were some similarities too that I did find
mm.
whilst being over there. Yeah, so it's really interesting.
Yeah, dude. Sorry,
We
my
just had a
man
brief
just walked
message
right
on there. Yeah.
in. I think he thinks you're on, like, team
Mm.
meetings, like, he doesn't really
Mm.
you're now the star of, Kinaway's webinar series. No, don't worry, we're recording it. He's upset now, James. I'm gonna edit it and, like, zoom right in on his face as he's
Yeah,
walking.
we should. Yeah, yeah. Just pan to him walking past as
Yeah,
we're.
just real close to him.
Yeah, yeah. You actually have to do that. That'd be so funny.
Oh, my poor man. I probably will, to be honest. He
Mm,
won't be
mm,
impressed. So this so interesting because I knew that you lived overseas, but I didn't know, like, I wanted to hear more, especially South Africa, because you
mm.
have told me a story. I guess I'll get you to tell it for the community as well. But you saw a celebrity while being in South Africa, a very cool celebrity. If you like
Oh
to share.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm happy to shove. There hasn't been a moment in my life where I've felt so uncool. But yeah, so I was just walking down the streets of Cape Town when I found a nice cafe where I'd go sit down and have a bit of a feed and have a coffee. And I was sitting there. It was funny because I was actually reading on the news a couple of days earlier something about Mos Def, who's a pretty famous hip hop artist, actor as well, black activist, from what I understand, I say based in America, but I think it was based in South Africa at the time. So I don't know where he's based. But anyway, so I was just I read about him a couple of days before and didn't think much of it. You know, obviously read the article and, you know, I was just out having a coffee and having a feed and sat down at this table. Then I kind of looked to my left and then I did like a double take and here he was, Mos Def, sitting next to me. You know, he was just dressed in, I remember he had like this camo jacket on. He also had like fingerless gloves. And yeah, you know, so he wasn't dressed in anything, you know, too extreme, but he still had like this sort of presence about him as well. So I did like a double take and I didn't know what to say. I was really starstruck. So I looked at him and I was like, "Hey man, like big fan." And he's like, "Thanks, man." And ever since then, I've never felt so uncool from that experience. But I was so starstruck because yeah, he's a really good artist
Yeah,
and
I
a
see you.
really good actor as well. So that is my little brush with fame
Oh, so cool, and
while I
what a
was over
person
there.
too. Oh,
Yeah,
man, I feel uncool just being just hearing the story. Just his
yeah,
story.
yeah.
He is the epitome of cool, so
Mm.
I really understand it. But it sounds like you weren't a crazy fanatic though. That I feel like is the ultimate uncool, right?
Yeah, well, that's the way I tell it back, but I think I might have been behaving in a whole different manner. I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I like to think that's probably all I said, but I think I probably said some more as well. That's probably why.
Like, hey man, I love you.
Yeah, yeah. I probably stuttered a few times as well, and yeah, I don't know what I would have said to him.
Dude, I'm one of those people where when I meet like celebrities, I overcompensate. So I'm just like, yeah, hey, what's up? I'm like downplaying my excitement.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
I've all been
man.
there.
I'm very jealous. The only famous person I've met is, well, I've met a couple kind of B list, but I
Mm.
met Rick Moranis. So,
I don't
Honey, I
know who
Shrunk
that is.
the Yes. Maybe some people watching this, they might know him. Honey, I Shrunk
Yeah.
the Kids and Little Shop of Horrors, all 80s. He's 80s.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So an actor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Too
I'll have to
good.
jump on Google after this.
Yeah. I'll probably put a picture. I'll put a picture up here of him for
Mm,
people
mm,
to see.
mm. Maybe
Sweet.
Photoshop it onto your fella's head when he walked past or something.
Yeah. I'll rewind time and put Rick Moranis there. Rick Moranis is actually my roommate, guys.
Yeah.
Too good. Excellent. So,
Mm,
it's interesting because I've written my questions around like your story in like location because that's sort of the way I did it with Damien. But yeah, it's
mm.
interesting. You've just lived in so many places that like surely you won't be able to go back and think of every like kind of accomplishment or thing that you went through. So we'll just see how the convo takes us.
Yeah, you can
But
just
my next
ask. Yeah,
question,
you can just ask whatever question. I think it kind of flows after you have those like
yeah.
sort of basic questions, and then I think the conversation sort of flows doing this sort of stuff a
Yeah,
few
true. I
times.
hope I hope it
Mm,
flows, fella.
yeah,
You'll see like heaps of little edits, like forming a
yeah,
sentence.
yeah.
Like, so what? Okay, so what was the first time that you felt well and truly out of the nest? Where you always hear about kids leaving the nest. So when did you
Mm.
feel, oh shit, I mean, oh damn, I'm in the adult world?
Yeah. The first time I felt out of the nest, that probably would have been the first time I left home. So yeah, I was 16 at the time.
Mm.
And I actually remember to this day when I was at the airport about to fly down to Canberra. I didn't want to go. But yeah, so that was probably it's going back a long time now. But yeah, that would have been the first time I felt that I was sort of leaving the nest was then. So yeah, that would have been the first time. But yeah, since then I haven't had a chance to go back home. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I don't know what else I can really elaborate on with that one because yeah, 16 years
Yeah.
old. So it was a long time ago. So it's so
Hey,
far
come
ago
on, you're
now
not that
that
old, James.
yeah,
Jeez.
I think I've spent half my life out of home. I think so. I'm
Yeah,
getting up on
true.
that. Yeah. So yeah, that was the first time I felt like I was leaving the nest. 16 years
Yeah.
old, and I didn't want to do it, but looking back, I'm
Mhm.
glad that I did.
Yeah, true. I mean, it'd bring about independence, hey, like, especially if you're still on the journey of like, because we all leave home typically, at some point, um, and it's
Mm,
like a journey in the in the film world. When you watch movies or write stories, if you leave home and then come back, it's a voyage and return. But if you leave
mm,
home and you're still on this like path to finding things out about yourself and life, that's a
mm.
journey. I feel like you're on a
Yeah,
journey, but eventually you
yeah,
will head back. So,
yeah.
what was
No,
thinking of
you're
home? What was your favorite thing about home? Sorry, you go.
uh, and I was going to say this on that point. I think, yeah, the looking back, obviously I didn't want to leave at the time that I did. And my old
Mm,
fella, he was really supportive. Either way, he's like, look, whatever you decide, I'll support. And
mm,
I'm really glad that I did because the things that I did learn from leaving home at such a young age
mhm,
was really valuable. I think it made
mm.
me mature in a lot of ways at a younger age.
Oh, yeah.
And I was afforded all those opportunities to sort of pursue a different career and passion of mine.
Mm,
And I got to travel the world, live in a few different places, and
mm,
yeah, so I'm really grateful and appreciative that
mm.
I was tasked or faced with that sort of dilemma to leave home, and I'm glad that I sort of made the choice I did, because I really had that opportunity to sort of grow and to mature up
Mm.
at a younger sort of age.
Yeah,
Mm,
I can relate, like with I know Jadara, who's in the Kinaway team as well. And Scott actually. We all went to boarding school, and I feel like that's sort of a similar thing where, you're a young person and you're just sort of thrust out into these situations where you're having to be independent, and you just sort of build you figure out who you are quicker, I guess. Like that's sort of my perspective on it. Especially,
mm,
with you, because you weren't going to a like an I was gonna say institution. That makes school sound bad. You weren't going into the arms of something else. You were like kind of
mm.
creating your own path. I mean, but you said you went to what was it called in Canberra? The sport place?
Australian Institute of Sport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
the
been there
AIS.
once
Yeah,
before on a
yeah,
camp. Was
yeah,
that
yeah.
heaps of fun? Like, because I guess that is sort of like is that where you went at 16? You
Yeah,
decided to
yeah.
go.
So I was there from 16 to 18, and I was going to say, like, I mean, obviously I haven't been to boarding school, but I'd assume it's
Yeah.
quite similar.
Yeah, it seems like it because I've stayed
Mm,
there, and the dorms are like those rooms are super similar.
yeah,
If you were at that age too, that's like a similar age to be. Yeah, you would have went through a lot of similar experiences, I think. But
yeah,
that's so cool.
yeah,
You said you were with like 20 of your mates.
yeah, yeah.
How That's so cool. So tell the Kinway community a little bit about your soccer stuff because that is so deadly. If I could swear, I would, but I'm not going to swear. It is just
um,
deadly.
yeah, okay, yeah. So a bit about soccer stuff. Yeah, so that was my previous career. So yeah, I obviously grew up playing a few different sports, and I just sort of fell into soccer. I think the reason I got into it was my old fella signed me up at the age of 6 as a birthday present of all things. And I remember at the time I didn't really want to do it because it was, a foreign sort of sport, and I had no family members that played soccer. So it was just like something completely different. But I thought I'd give it a go.
Mm.
And yeah, I just kept playing, from that age up until I'm still playing now. But yeah, throughout this sort of time period, started when I was 6. Was fortunate enough to go down to the AIS when I was 16. I spent 2 years there before I started playing professionally as well.
Mm.
So that's where I moved back to the Gold Coast for 3 years. I moved to Newcastle for 2. Um, moved to Melbourne for 2 years after that, and then I had a 3-year contract as well over in Cape Town in South Africa, which I only lasted about 6 months into it before I realised I've had enough of this this career. So
Mm.
throughout that time, I got to obviously live in a few different places around Australia. I was lucky enough to represent the country in a few
So
different
cool.
age levels. Yeah, so again, I got to travel. I did a lot of Southeast Asia, the Middle East. Went over
Mm.
to England, America. So I've been a couple of places. So I was really, really lucky to do that. And yeah, I think I just got to a point where I just realised it wasn't about me anymore. I was fortunate enough to achieve what I wanted to do. I was lucky enough to be a professional footballer, professional athlete, and I wanted to
Mm.
support the next generation coming through. Whether that at the start it was through sport, but then the more I put myself into uni and started to study and learn a bit more was I think we can really make a big change through business. I think that's a great way that we can create genuine systemic sustainable change,
Yeah.
which is why why I finished up in Cape Town. I flew back to Australia and then enrolled myself in uni the next day, I think. And I
So
also
cool.
I had a 6 month stint as a painter as well before uni started.
Oh,
So
really?
I was stuck painting an aged care facility,
Oh my
which
god.
actually
Is
wasn't
that
too
not the
bad.
hardest? Is that not the hardest work though? Like painting. Do you have to paint
Yeah,
ceilings?
yeah, you got to paint ceilings.
Oh,
That's one part of it.
that's
But
the
the
worst.
biggest the biggest surprise that I found was with painting. Like you don't actually spend that much time painting. It's more just preparation. So it should be called
Yeah.
sanding or something, because you just like most of
Sandy.
the time just sanding walls, or taping things and just preparing things rather than actually painting things. So I
Yeah.
spent 6 months doing that as well. So that is
For a
my
second,
previous
I
careers in a nutshell.
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I thought, for a second when you're like, and I was painting, I'm like, "Oh, what? Like Pablo Picasso over here?" Like,
Yeah, no,
there's
I
no
wish I was
putting
more
that.
creative, but yeah, I'm just more into sport rather than the creative side of things.
Yeah, dude.
Unfortunately.
Well,
Mm,
no, that's so sick. That's such a cool, like, lived experience, like, that I know I will never have, so I find it really interesting to hear it from you. And
mm.
what position did you play in soccer?
Um, so I'm still playing now, just sort of part time. But
Mm,
the way it sort of works in soccer, for a lot of the players, is that they're sort of older, and slower you get, you start to slowly make your way back. So all the young pups that are pretty quick and pretty agile start up
mm,
front, sort of scoring the goals and stuff. So I was more of an attacker as well. Would
mm,
play in that central sort of midfield role or out in the wings.
mm,
Um, uh, Up until sort of around late 20s, I'd start to slowly make my way back. So playing
mm.
more midfield role, and then even more the defensive part of things too. So just depending on my age, sort of determine what position I play. But I think I prefer to be scoring the goals. That's where the big bucks is.
Yeah, for sure. I used to play soccer at age, like, 6, no, 7.
Yeah,
I was something like
yeah,
that, and I wanted always to be wing because 'cause you're always, like, in the fun, like, wherever the ball was, you could, like, cruise down and get to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I think that age is where my fitness ceased and did not develop further.
Yeah. It takes a
Yeah.
bit of fitness, to get around the soccer pitch.
Look, maybe some you know what? I wanna go on a fitness journey, Jay, and
Mm,
if I
mm,
get more fit, I will kick around a soccer ball with you, and I'll
yeah.
prove it. But
I'm
look.
happy. Yeah, I'm happy to join you, because I'm thinking of doing, and this is something that our members can be aware of. It's sort of like a fundraiser or something. So I want to do the Melbourne Marathon, right? And do like a fundraiser where people can sort of donate. We can put it towards a good cause. But I will
Mm,
also want to set a challenging time as well. And if I beat that time,
mm.
everyone has to double their donation or something. You know what I mean? I'm still
Oh,
working on it. It's been workshopped, but
yes,
maybe you can sort of come along for part of that marathon training journey. I don't know when I'm going to do this marathon, because with these
yes.
lockdowns it's a bit hard. But yeah, that's something that's in the works. I'm
Dude,
still
that'd
figuring
be
it out.
so good. That'd be awesome.
Mm.
We need to say that to boss man, because I love that idea. Believe it or not, there was a time in life where, I used to do athletics and do, like, long distance, and I remember
Yeah.
looking, like, and I had a gold medal for, like, 1,500 meters, and I'm like, "What the
That's
hell?
good. Yeah.
When
Yeah.
was I
Yeah.
ever that fit?"
Yeah.
But
It's a
yeah,
funny
maybe I
sort of. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a funny discipline.
mm,
I don't like it, but there's something sort of therapeutic or meditative about running long distances. I think just having the ability to disconnect from everything, and the only
mm.
thing you think about is just like, when can I stop, or this is so hard, so you don't have a overwhelming, all these different sort of thoughts and emotions and feelings. It's just the one feeling that you're dealing with.
Yeah,
So
just like on
um,
your breath or, like, your feet
yeah,
hitting the
yeah,
ground.
you think about how much your knees are hurting, or how much your ankles are hurting, or whatever it might be.
Your
Yeah, I
lungs are
don't take
burning.
headphones. Yeah, that's right. And I just can't wait to stop. So yeah, for me,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. I don't have to. I'm not distracted by anything else. Just how much I hate the position that I'm in at that particular moment.
That's so
If that makes
funny.
any sense, yeah. I
No,
don't even know
it
if that
makes
makes any
all
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about this on I think the other webinar, but, like, that
Mm,
makes all the sense. Now I can relate to fit people. I'm like, "Oh, you
yeah.
hate it." That makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a what are they, like, a marathon that has rowing? Because I think rowing I'm, like,
Triathlon.
relatively good at. I'll do the rowing segment. I'll get fit to do that,
Mm,
but
mm.
running is genuinely super hard.
Yeah, I don't think rowing is in the triathlon, so maybe you should just stick
Damn
to
it.
rowing, just straight rowing.
James, like, just go get fit.
Yeah, maybe just go get a
Oh,
boat and I'll see you rowing
a
on the
little
river.
canoe.
Yeah,
I'll go.
yeah,
I'll flip it the first bloody stroke or whatever.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god. Uh, well, I guess I've got my little gammon questions here, but we're having a good old
Mm,
time. But something that is relative to this, so like in these sort of early days, or what you consider, because you sometimes will say in a previous life, so like that might be your sporting stuff, or
mm.
even just being young. I'm interested to know if, like, in your journey, well, in your early days, what was a milestone for you, or that you remember actively learning from or taking it?
A milestone for me. Again, this is probably something that I've only really appreciated lately. Would probably be two things. Would be so signing my first professional contract, and then also probably scoring my first professional goal. So,
That's so cool.
yeah, at the time, I just I didn't really appreciate it as much as what I do now. But I think um, all the sacrifices uh, that I made, but more importantly, the sacrifices that my family made, especially my grandpa.
Mm,
Kind of getting me around to all the different training sessions, all the representative teams,
mm,
all that sort of stuff. Paying for the fees for me to travel, all my
mm,
equipment and things like that. I didn't appreciate it back then, and
mm,
without my grandpa, my old fella, even my younger sister as well. She had to sacrifice a lot so I could achieve what I did. Um,
mm,
so yeah, I think sort of signing up a first professional contract, to see it all come to fruition and actually being
mm.
able to do it on a grander scale, to play professionally was a big deal. And I think sort of scoring that first goal as well would have been, I think, the first game that I started. I think it would have been 16 or 17. And I was actually playing it at home. So I was on the Gold Coast, which isn't too far from the Tweed,
Mm.
about half an hour up the road. So, all my family and friends were there to watch, which is really nice. So
That's so nice.
yeah, it was really lovely to sort of share that moment with them. Again, it's only taken me now a little bit older and a little bit wiser. It's only
Mm.
taken me up until now to really appreciate those moments because yeah, and again my family they sacrificed a lot for me to be lucky enough to do that. And yeah, not
Yeah.
everyone's is afforded that luxury, So yeah, that's
Mm.
probably two milestone moments for me.
Yeah. No, sometimes I've noticed that, like, yeah, as you get older, I think something in our brains, like, switch into being able to, like, not that we can't appreciate things when we're younger, but it just means something way deeper for some reason when you get older. And
Mm.
also when you're living in the moment of something, it's hard to then, like, see it as, for what it fully is until it's been able to, like, really settle in your mind, and then you can kind of pull it back apart. So, yeah, that's so
Yeah,
lovely,
yeah,
and the whole fam's there.
yeah,
That's such a nice moment.
yeah.
Not that I was there,
Uh,
but it sounds really beautiful.
yeah, no, it was nice. And I think at the time, like, I wasn't really afforded that luxury to kind of sit back and appreciate it because in that sort of environment, it's always the next week or, that's just what you're there to do. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that's it.
um, yeah, you're not really allowed that sort of moment to kind of take it in. And you just kind of move on to the next week.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, that's just your job really.
Yeah,
Taking it in
as
those.
a yeah, I was curious, now you made me start thinking, like, do you think being a young man, like, is that a common thing? Like, are people relatively, like, reflective as, like, for the male experience? I mean, I know I sort of was, but then, yeah, it just got, like, easier for me to really, reflect on things as I got older. Was that,
Mm.
you think that for you it was a maturity, or were you always, because you are a
Yeah, I
reflective
mean,
person.
yeah. Again, that took until my heart to get broken for me to
Ah.
for me to be a little bit of a one that reflects on things. But yeah, I don't know. Just being a young sort of, I can't talk for all young males, but myself
Yeah,
personally,
true.
just being a young male, it was just so, and especially in that environment as well, it's just so fast paced. It's so
Yeah, true.
competitive.
Mm,
So you can't really show any sort of weakness, or you can't really
mm,
reflect on things. You can't really show that vulnerability because it's just a competitive environment, and
mm.
the bloke that's sitting next to you is your teammate, but also at the same time it's a competitor. They're probably there looking to take your spot.
Yeah,
So
true.
it's a really
You
interesting
forget
sort of
about that
dynamic
stuff.
like that. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So, but looking back, yeah, I loved it. I loved it at the
yeah.
time, just that whole competitive part. But yeah, back then when I was in it, yeah, I didn't really stop to reflect on things. And yeah, I think
Mm,
maybe now I'm a father now, and I'm a little bit older, growing a few grey
yeah.
hairs. It's
No.
taken me to sort of appreciate, what my parents and grandparents and what my sister did, in terms of
Mm.
sacrificing for me to do what I did.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. And when,
Mm,
like, you can pay it forward because, you've seen that little, journey kind of play out, like, people in your family sacrifice things, but then you can see there was a reason behind it, like,
mm,
that's so deadly. That's such a cool story. Uh, I'm just sitting here like I'm watching a movie listening to
mm.
you.
I'm glad you think so.
No, for real. I love it.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
And if you have any pictures or things from that time, I'm gonna put it in here for people to see so they
Mm. Yeah, you'll have
can
to
kind of
you have to ask my mother and my grandma as well. They'll have plenty of newspaper clippings and stuff. I'm sure that
oh,
they could
cute.
share.
I will,
Yeah,
I'll flick it. I'll slide into the DMs.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, good
Well, yeah.
timing.
I don't think my mum or my grandma has any social
Yeah.
media, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, um,
I'll, send a homing pigeon and that pigeon will find them.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Hey,
But
what's
yeah,
up?
I think my mum actually has she has like a little book, like a almost like a school book where she takes out clippings and she'll glue it into the book.
Oh, yeah, like a scrapbook kind of.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
that's
one.
so
Yeah,
cool.
scrapbook. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she's
Little
taking it
scraps
back
of
old
paper.
school, but yeah, she's got a scrapbook that I think last time I checked, yeah, she sort of carried it around. So she's probably the one if you
That
want to
is
get
so cute.
anything.
Yeah, we are hitting her up for some photos, I can't wait.
Mm,
Um, or I'll
mm,
go old school and head to the libraries and hunt for newspapers. I don't know.
mm,
I don't know, I'll figure it out. So, we followed well, this is a question I was gonna ask. I mean, you can elaborate if you'd like, but I'm not sure. I feel like you've covered a lot, but there might be some stuff like cough, cough, fishing that you might wanna bring
mm,
up. But I was just gonna ask, so what are some passions that you've explored/honed through the years? And if you hadn't have spoken about soccer yet, that would have been my cue for you. But
okay.
everyone in the Kinaway office knows about a certain hobby of yours that you love to death.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you like to share that with the Kinaway community? They
Yeah,
might
I would love to share, a passion of mine that I've honed and explored. Full disclaimer, yeah, it's soccer. I think I've fully exhausted that. I was playing for a long time, so yeah, I don't think it's much. I still take an interest in it, but yeah, I wouldn't say I'm too passionate about it. But one such activity that I am passionate about is fishing. My love of fishing. I was lucky enough to grow up on a body of water up in Kingscliff, just down the road from Coogin Creek, which actually runs out to the ocean as well. And yeah, from ever since I can remember, actually, I've always been fishing. Um, don't get to do it too much down here, and when I do, it's a lot different to the fishing up at home. The water's a lot colder, and I just don't have that local
Mm,
sort of knowledge as well. So I'm spending a lot of the time actually fishing and not doing much catching. But I think half the joy of fishing is actually just getting out there, and
mm,
just kind of, just being in the environment and, just, yeah, just sort of just slowing down, I suppose. But
mm,
yeah, that is a big passion of mine.
mm,
Um, if you ask anyone in the office, they'll probably tell you how much I love it. We do sort of show and tells in the office on the odd occasion, and I'm always volunteering to do it. And it gets to the point where Scott has to knock me back, or when I do talk about my fishing, I've only got 2 minutes to talk about it, and it's strictly 2 minutes. After that, no one wants to hear it anymore. So, yeah,
oh my god.
that's a passion of mine, and I should and obviously my children as well. I've got a beautiful daughter who's just over 2, and a beautiful son as well who would be about 2 months, a bit over 2 months as well. So the more time I spend with them, the more I love it, and the more I love parenthood as well. It's truly an amazing thing in life to have children, and I really cherish every moment I have with them, and I feel really lucky and fortunate to have a beautiful partner as well who looks after him
Oh,
and looks
she's
after me
such a
too.
super mum, dude.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, to put up,
She
to
truly is.
put up with me as well. Yeah, she's a super mum.
Oh, too cute. Something that James isn't mentioning Kinaway community is love of the Wiggles. I think that is actually a passion of yours that you're hiding.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a love of the Wiggles. It'd be my daughter would have a love for the Wiggles. But what the Wiggles do and in the spare time that they afford me, I appreciate. When things get too hard or a bit overwhelming, I just chuck the Wiggles on, and all is well in the world. The ones entertained, I can just kind of kick back, look after the young fella, and it's all good. So yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a love of mine or a passion of mine, but definitely of my daughters.
That is so cute. You know,
But I might add that they do have a few songs that I love. They actually have a few catchy songs. So maybe we can insert some Wiggle songs into here as well.
what was it? What's his name? The new Jeff? We were talking about it the other day. What's the new Jeff's name?
So you've got
Sleepy
Jeff.
Purple.
Oh wait, yeah, Jeff is the purple Wiggles. So that's Lockie.
Lockie. Wake Up Lockie, isn't it?
Yeah, Wake Up Lockie. It's actually that's a good song.
It's a banger. I'll have to put it in.
Yeah. That's going on the Kinaway play.
I may or may not edit a clip in, but put your face on.
Yeah, if you can do that would actually blow my daughter's mind as well. I wonder what she'd think when she's seen that.
Dude, I will. Oh my goodness. Damn, there was one other thing.
Maybe you can insert other Kinaway staff members onto it.
Yeah. The whole Wiggles crew.
Yeah.
I'm totally doing that. This is why it's good to pre-record a couple of days before, so I can do that. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll dive back in because I do have an actual question that I will send to a family member. But so because you are a dad, an established dad, but also have a new little baby with you, what's some tips for new parents? I've got family that have literally just had a baby. What's a quick tip about little ones and that you've learned from?
I think the biggest tip that I sort of learned, and I'm no expert by no means, but whatever you're doing it right. There's people can read all these books, what to expect, this and that, but I think the biggest thing that helps myself is I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time, but I just take comfort in I'm trying my hardest, and I'm doing it right. I think for a lot of sort of new parents out there, you read a lot of things of what to expect, and they should be going down this time and should be eating this much and doing this and doing that. It also almost becomes, well, for me anyway, it almost became a bit overwhelming. So I just kind of took a step back. Just enjoyed the time I was spending with them, and just figured whatever I'm doing, I'm doing my best. I'm using everything that I've sort of learned, I've read, people have taught me, and if they're not sleeping X amount of hours of the day, or if they don't want to eat right now, or if they need a nappy change and you don't know how to do it properly, then that's all right, you'll figure it out. So so whatever you're doing, you're doing it right.
Earlier you mentioned coming back and enrolling yourself into uni. So what is it that you're studying? So what are you studying? And I guess how did you find that passion? If you don't mind letting us know.
No, I don't mind letting everyone know at all. So whilst I was playing, as always, that standard, what's the plan after, your sports career? And For the first, maybe 5 years, I didn't really know. And to be honest, I just enrolled in university because that's what everyone was sort of telling me to do. So I originally enrolled just in a Bachelor of Arts. So I didn't know what I was doing, but it was almost just to please everyone else. I would start studying, and I did one or two sort of business subjects, and I could kind of see how it relates to the world and how we can really create change within the Indigenous community through business. I knew that I did want to get involved with our mob somehow. I thought maybe through a sporting sort of capacity. I originally enrolled in a Bachelor of Arts at La Trobe University, and from there I transferred into a Bachelor of Business, majoring in sport management and economics. I definitely didn't do it the easy way. I'm still there with 2 subjects left. Decided to have 2 kids whilst working full-time, while playing soccer just part-time on the side as well. So I've got my hands full. I'm currently just finishing off my undergrad in Bachelor of Business, majoring in sport management and economics at La Trobe University, and I've found it really interesting. I think there's a lot of things that I've learned, from university, but also just through practical life experience as well, that I think I can bring to my role here at Kinaway, and the Indigenous community. And sort of looking back now as well, I think, having the benefit of being a little bit older as well, I can really, appreciate the things that I'm taught at university, and apply that to the real world situations. Just knocking off the rest of my economic subjects, which is a really interesting time to be studying economics right now. So,
True.
I'm not too sure how many people say they enjoy it, but I'm actually, I'm enjoying, finishing off my uni, particularly these economic subjects.
That's cool. Do your lecturers or tutors, do they have interesting insights on just I'm not going to explain it in the right way, but I guess economics during COVID, the last year and a half / 2 years. Do they have any insight on that? Do they share it with you guys?
Yeah, they don't. I mean, they don't really share. They sort of teach certain principles that you can apply to the real world now. So when you sort of look at the housing market and how the sort of shift in demographics up to these regional areas is affecting sort of house prices. It's not good for myself that wants to eventually move back up there. Because it's not cheap. It's not cheap to get in, but it's been really interesting. Particularly with the subject that I was studying last semester. Just around sort of consumer behaviour and how it sort of affects the economy. Supply and demand of things, and in turn the prices and things like that. So been a really, really interesting time.
Dude, you see, Kinaway community, if you got your questions, hit James up. Don't accidentally ask for Katani, because when you ask me those questions, the scene from The Simpsons where Homer's got a monkey smashing cymbals, that's me. You ask anything about
you have
money,
to insert that one as well now. Insert that into the webinar.
Zoom into my mind.
Yeah.
For real. So if you guys have questions, need support, and especially after when these bloody lockdowns go away, James and other economic brokers, and they start to join our team, they'll be heading out to your areas. I know a couple weeks ago, I think we're meant to have that's right, we're meant to have one, but James's little bubba, his little boy, came and said, "Nah, Dad, you need to look after me. You can't go on your regional trip."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So on that, I mean, that's what we're here for. So, anything that our members need, please feel free to reach out to us here at Kinaway, and, we'll be more than happy, to support in any way that we can. So I think I had a bit of a regional trip out to Gippsland, which, was by design, because I understand there's a bit of fishing out that way. So that's why I booked that one for that particular time. But unfortunately, I didn't manage to get out there. But, we're going to have, we were advertising for a few more roles as well. So we're going to have some more resources, so it can really service our members and, cater to everyone's needs.
Yeah, and you guys, I think, commented some places under that post from back then. So if you have, if you really, if you would like us to come and visit, make sure you DM us or comment or something, and I'll be passing it straight on to James. So you could always email him directly as well, but I'll have all of that info somewhere in this post for you guys. Sweet, James. So I guess my last question would be, what are you excited for, or what are you looking forward in seeing with the growth of Kinaway? We're having a little bit of a boom at Kinaway, and I'm curious to see, what you're looking forward to, especially having, some other economic brokers that you'll probably have to take under your wing a little bit. So, what are you looking forward to, my brother?
What I'm looking forward to, well, obviously, working and spending more time alongside Katani here at Kinaway. But yeah, I think just what I alluded to earlier was just, having some more staff on board, some more resources available. So, so we can really get out there and, get to really know our members, see how they're doing, see what they need, and just assess, where we can help. We have experienced a pretty considerable growth over the last 12 plus months. We've done some really good work here, and I'm just really looking forward to the team growing, to us getting out there, really getting to know our members, helping our members, and just to this office being finished as well, and seeing people in here, and just really having this as a nice little central Victorian Indigenous business hub, which will be really exciting as well. And I think there's plenty to be looking forward to here at Kinaway.
That is so excellent. Yeah, we've got so much happening. And I think something, just to mention to you all watching, you can always contact me on social media, and that's great because I'll always see it. But I think one of the greatest ways of us really getting to know you all individually as people, but also what you're looking for and the sort of support that you're looking for is through meeting people like James, the brokers that head out and actually come to see you guys face to face. So definitely look out for those and try to make some time, because I think it'll benefit you so much. And it will benefit us because we'll get to know you guys, and James will report back. I'll get him to ask you guys if you like memes, and I will start posting memes. I joke. Okay, excellent. James, is there anything else you wanted to add? I mean, that was such a deadly yarn, but is there anything I
No,
haven't covered?
no, I think it's all been covered. I said it before at the start. You're loving these webinars. I think everyone is loving them. So no, you're doing great, and keep it up. I'd be interested to see who's next on the chopping block.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna be laying down the law, and people
Yeah,
better join me on these webinars.
that's right. Yeah, especially as the
It
team grows
wouldn't.
as well. I think
Oh, yeah,
it'd be great to have a couple more sort of panel discussions, or even do these sort of
yeah.
one-on-ones too.
100%. And I wouldn't know what I'm doing without James, guys. So, and I'll actually be posting some of James's webinars that he's done in the past. I might wrangle him to host a couple ones in the future, because he was such a good host, James. You downplay it every time. Alrighty, so I hope everybody enjoyed that. Hopefully, I've put a lot of fun edits in there to make it entertaining. But thank you for joining us. So yeah, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us, but also I'd like to thank you, James, for telling me about your story and opening up and letting not just me, but the community get to know you even more than we already do. So thank you so much for that. Um, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And again, if you would like to catch up on previous yarns or workshops, anything like this, we have a Damien one as well on our YouTube and Facebook. So make sure to go and check that one out. I'd also just like to take a moment to remind you again that we have support services available for our members at 1-800-KINAWAY, and that is with Brendan Heed. And he is available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. James, you like yarning with Brendan, hey? He's a good man. He's a good man.
Every Monday at 1:30.
See you guys. I actually need to take James's lead and do the same thing. So let's all bombard Brendan and give him a call. I guess, we hopefully, lockdown might be over. I'll just cover the 5 reasons to leave home just in case, because it's always good to remember. So, there are 5 reasons to leave home, you guys. Shopping for food and supplies that you may need, or exercise, and they have to both be within 5 Ks of your home or as close to your home as possible. Care and caregiving, authorized work or education if you can't do it from home. Getting vaccinated as soon as you're eligible, and masks are mandatory indoors and outdoors. That kind of sucks, I know, guys, but it is important to get this lockdown over with. And if you have any symptoms, go and get tested, and especially, yeah, stay updated on the latest at coronavirus.vic.gov.au. So thank you, James, and thank you everybody for joining us. We will see you next time. I hope you all have a safe lockdown. And you too, James. Catch everybody. Bye.
Bye.